guys, it's Kevin Davis, fresh back from the road. I've been in Stuart, Florida at Auto Geeks Detail Fest, and I can highly recommend it. If you haven't really spent a lot of time there at Auto Geek or any time at all, you'll be amazed at the people that are down there, how awesome they are, how much they care about their customers and detailers in general. Sometimes it's easy to think of those kind of places as just another Walmart or something like that, and those guys just aren't like that. Bob, Megan, and the rest of the crew down there really do an awesome job. And Detail Fest is a great opportunity for you to sort of go in and interact with some people, see some celebrities, see some awesome cars, see some new detailing products, talk to different vendors, sort of see what's going on in the industry as well. So it's usually around this time of the year, sometime in March. So I suspect they'll be doing the 11th annual next year. So you might want to check that out. After that, we came back for a little bit and then headed to Southern California down to Riverside. And we were able to attend a super cool car show called the Benedict Castle Concours, which is an awesome event that was put on by some friends of ours, the North Coats down there. And the proceeds, benefit Teen Challenge, which is a great program and definitely worth checking out. I would call that a sort of destination car show. If you have local car shows, it's one thing, but these cars are 300-ish of the most awesome cars that you'll ever see, and it's well worth the trip to Southern California. You can go to the beach, you can do that thing as well. So highly recommend that. So anyway, I'm back in the office and doing some more videos. So I wanted to talk to you about something that's sort of been going around on the forums and the groups that I follow, talking about business debt. And it's something that can be sort of a dirty word in some circles, but I wanted to take a chance just to talk to you about what business debt is, what not to be afraid of, when to use it, when not to use it, and just give you a few options for seeking out how to actually get a loan if you need a loan, get some financing if you need some financing. So the first thing I want to say is don't be afraid of business debt. I've been in business for probably 18 or 19 years. And mainly, have been in businesses that would not require a ton of overhead. I've been in service-related industries like web development, past $1,000 computer, a couple of grand on computers. I don't have a lot of overhead, so I haven't needed to take on any business debt up until this point. However, now that I'm doing other things, I'm doing the Detailer's Helper belts, which require inventory and marketing and branding and some of these other things, legal, patent, trademarks, that sort of thing. It's the costs have sort of mounted, and it has become necessary for me to take on business debt, which for me personally is a little bit of a challenge, and I know others may be too, because we're told specifically don't take on debt, make sure that you manage your debt appropriately. Debt is the killer, all of that stuff. And so I was trepidatious. We don't carry any personal debt at all. All of our cars are paid for. All of our toys are paid for. We do have a mortgage, but that's pretty much it. So you can imagine that created a little bit of anxiety for me as we start talking about taking on business debt. But what I would encourage you to do, especially if you're doing a detail shop, you need to go mobile, you need trailers. Don't be afraid of at least taking on some business debt as a way to move your business forward. There's definitely times and ways to do it slowly. When you don't want to incur a bunch of debt. But what I would encourage you is don't be afraid of it, because it may actually end up being the best thing for your business. Again, talk to your CPA. I'm not an expert. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. So talk to everybody in your circle that you trust with your financial information to sort of see what works out. Obviously, if you're already up to your ears in credit card debt, you have a mortgage, you have 5 car payments, whatever, then you may want to rethink that whole situation. But my point is, don't be afraid of it, because it may be the difference in the success or failure of your business, especially for us detailers who are talking about, 5 to 10 grand worth of equipment costs, supplies. You've got to pay employees if you've got them. You may have rent if you've got a shop. You may need a new trailer, like I said, if you're doing mobile. You may need a new vehicle, lease, those kind of things. So the cost can actually add up quite a bit. So if you are trying to really do that on a budget without incurring any debt, it may be a real challenge, and you may end up not able to support the business in the way that it needs to be. So that's point one, don't be afraid of it. Point two, let's look at some of the options for getting money outside of debt and with debt. So obviously there's you can take a loan out from a family member or a friend, and as we all know, this is a slippery slope and a sticky situation. So I would just encourage you to make sure that you do it very legally. You may end up doing some sort of contract with the person, whether they're your dad, your uncle, your brother, whatever. I would actually write that stuff out, get some signatures so that they're protected from your default and you're protected from them. You really spell that thing out, because that kind of situation, $1,000 can ruin a lifelong friendship, a lifelong relationship. So just be careful there. So that's option one. Go out and get a loan from someone in your personal circle, whether it's a family member or a friend. So let's talk about number two. Another option would be using home equity. If you own your own home, there's a couple of ways to use your home equity in order to get some money for your business. Actually, there's probably three different ways. You've got a home equity traditional loan, which is basically a loan against the equity in your house. Say you have $100,000 worth of equity. The bank would typically give you a percentage of that, sometimes even more than 100%. Most of the time, it's not going to be more than 100%. It will be a smaller percentage based on what's been going on since about 2008 in the mortgage industry. So you can actually borrow against that home equity as collateral. A subset of that would be a HELOC, or a home equity line of credit, and that's basically a similar thing, but you're not taking out a lump sum as a loan. You're taking a line of credit, so you use it a little bit at a time, which is sort of a good option, and those may be a little bit easier to get. Again, I'm not a professional banker, so check with your banker about those options. And then there's another option, which is something like a cash out refinance. We've actually used this in the past when we wanted to buy real estate. We were in a pretty good equity position in this home here where we live, and we wanted to invest in vacation rental property. So we actually cashed out, wrote a new mortgage that would give us enough money to actually buy another house. So we had a pretty good equity position where we're at, and that ended up being a very good solution for us. So that's another option. So don't be afraid, especially if you've owned your home for very long, don't be afraid to use that as as a way to get funds, because that's a good option. It's a relatively low risk option for you, and can be a situation where it doesn't cost you a ton of money to get there, because interest rates are still down in the 3.5-4% rate for even 15 to 30-year loans. So obviously, again, I'm not a mortgage broker, so look at all that stuff in context, but that's another option. So then we have a traditional small business loan, which you would just go talk to your banker about, sort of figure out how much money you want. Be prepared to have paperwork come out the wazoo for this. You need to have business plan. You've got to have your accounts receivable. You've got to have all your expenses. They want to see that you have made money, which the irony with getting a small business loan is you basically have to prove that you don't need the money in order for them to give you the money. So I found that to be particularly true. My credit score is very, very good. I didn't need that much money, and found out that from a small business loan perspective, it was still very difficult to get that funding. So just be prepared for that. You may have to talk to several banks. There's some online sources there as well for small business loans. There's the Small Business Administration, SBA, small business loans. Do some research on Google for that. There's some options there and different qualifications, so you can sort of check those things out. That's an option. So going directly to a bank for a small business loan is another option. And I'm not going to cover every single option here, but there's one more that you could do, which is effectively there are services out there that allow you to use credit card liquidation as a way to get funds. And this may seem pretty risky, and it is probably a little bit riskier than your traditional home equity loan, traditional line of credits, that sort of thing. But it is an option if perhaps you have a credit situation that's a little bit sketchy, or you've had some issues in the past. This may be an option for you. So let's say that you end up signing up for a credit card, and there are services that will help you with this for a fee. You can sort of Google that and check out those options. So let's say that you take out a credit card that has a $20,000 limit on it. You may be able to liquidate that and do basically a balance transfer to yourself, and end up getting $15,000 to $18,000 of cash to use. Some of those have 0% balance transfers for a certain amount of time, so that you can pay it off within a year. and end up paying 0% interest. After that, it could be anywhere between 7 and 25%. So make sure you look at the statistics there, or make sure you look at the terms so you understand what your risk is, what happens if you're not able to pay that off. Again, that's sort of doctorate level business financing, if you want to call it that. But it is another option out there that most people don't think about. And again, there's a whole industry that does that for you. So you can Google for that. And so you can look at some of those things. So we covered home equity is a good option. Small business loans is also a good option. The credit card situation is another option. And then getting loans from family and friends is yet another one. So there's different risks, there's different rewards, there's different processes involved for all of those situations and all of those options. And I would just encourage you to really look through your situation, what your credit score is, what your home equity situation is, what your current debt situation is, and make the best decision for you. Now, I will say that even though I'm encouraging you not to be afraid of business debt, look at everything in context. Just like we do with pricing and with business strategy and everything else, make sure that it makes sense for not only your business, but your personal life, your family life, all of that, so that you don't get in a situation where you're going to fail miserably, end up in bankruptcy court, and have major problems. Not that that's the end of the world. Sometimes in business, risk is necessary. However, I like to do sort of risk aversion, at least risk management, so that I can manage the amount of risk that I take on, so that I can have the worst case scenario in mind and really make good decisions along those lines. So I hope that helps you guys think differently a little bit about debts, some of the options for getting some money if you need it, and I hope that will help you out. I'm Kevin Davis with Detailers Helper, doing what I do so you can do what you do better. I hope you'll take an opportunity to check out detailershelper.com to see what we've got going on over there, to see our latest products and developments that we're working on, see some pictures of some cool people working on cars with Detailers Helper, and I hope you will consider buying the product if you haven't already. Thanks a lot. God bless and have a great day.